Shields up, Iron Breakers. Rurikhan here coming at you with another video, and today we're going to be talking about Monster Hunter World. As you guys can see by the title, at this point I've played roughly about 9 hours of the game. I've been taking my sweet time with it. I've been doing as many side quests as I can find. I've been just like soaking it all in. Like, I know that I personally have been waiting for this particular game for such a long goddamn time. I've been waiting for this game longer than this game has been in development, if I'm to be completely honest, it's an interesting thing. But ultimately, it's just like 9 hours doesn't mean like I've been rushing through the story or anything like that. It's been 9 hours of me just enjoying myself. And in case you guys are worried about spoilers, because I know a lot of you guys are very sensitive about spoilers, I'm not going to be spoiling anything that you haven't seen on any of the first betas that came out. So we're going to be, most of the footage is going to be me in Wildspire Wastes, in an armor set that you've already seen, which is the Hunter set, with a weapon that you've already seen, which is the Gun Lance, one of the iron variations of the Gun Lance, fighting two monsters that you have seen, which are the Baroth and the Juriatodus. I can never pronounce Juriatodus properly. I can never pronounce it properly. But anyway, there's no spoilers here. I'll just be telling guys my experience and the things that I have noticed so far after putting 9 hours into the game. So the very first thing that I want to talk about is the character and Palico customization. It is so good. Character creator, really good. And I know that some of the stuff that I'm going to be talking about, some of you guys might have already seen videos. You need to remember that I personally have been on a little bit of a media blackout of my own to avoid, you know, seeing new monsters and stuff. So whenever there was a new video coming up, I would try to avoid it as much as possible. So some of the things that I might mention in this video, maybe some of you already know about them, but maybe some of you that were scared about spoilers don't know about some of the things that I will mention. So anyway, character customization is awesome. Palico customization is awesome. As a matter of fact, I actually somewhat like Palicos in this Monster Hunter. Me, the guy that doesn't like cats at all, I can dig the Palicos and the armor sets that they have for the Palicos. So good. Also, I nerfed the armor on my Palico to prevent you guys from getting spoiled from new armor sets and stuff like that. Obviously, the combat, as we've experienced in the betas, is amazing. I want to say, I'm not 100% sure, but I want to say they've touched up on some of the animations as well as some of the hitboxes that we've seen in the beta. Like, these just seem a little bit more polished. Everything just feels like a little bit tighter, and it just feels better. A little bit better than the beta. Not by too much, but everything just feels like it's been tuned up just a notch. Just a notch. It's just kind of like really smoothed out all of the edges and stuff. At least that's the way that I feel. Maybe they didn't change a damn thing at all, but it feels a little bit more polished from what I've seen so far. Now, visually, I think everybody can agree that this is the biggest evolution we've ever seen in Monster Hunter. It looks fantastic. The animation also all looks fantastic. And the 3D sound, if you are using headphones, I highly advise you to try it out, because good God, the 3D sound is so friggin' good. And since a lot of us play with headphones anyway, like legit, just try it out. You have to set the thing for like, you have to actually go into sound and tell them that you're using headphones, and then they let you turn on 3D sound and just listen to that bad boy. It is so good. Now, as we were talking about animations just now, I felt that I should give particular emphasis on both the cooking and crafting animations, which I will not be showing because I want you guys, that if you haven't seen it yet and if you're trying to go in as spoiler free as possible, I want you to experience it firsthand in the game. But it is so good, particularly the cooking and the chef himself, the personality of the chef. This is the best chef we've ever had in a Monster Hunter game. I love it. I don't know what else to tell you guys. It is awesome. And the cooking animation is just like, I never skip it. I just straight up never skip it. Everybody's in stream, just whenever I'm live streaming, everybody's like, oh, Rurikhan doesn't skip the cooking animation. No, I don't. We need to watch it every single time because it is that good. Now, let's address the elephant in the room, which was the concern of a lot of people, and that was the 20-minute and 15-minute time limits that we had on the beta. Like I told you guys on the previous videos, most likely it was going to be 50 minutes, and wouldn't you know it, I was 100% correct. It is a 50-minute time limit, which you guys can probably see on the quest that is going on right now. If you look at the clock, which is on your top left-hand side, you will notice that it's got the same time as pretty much every other Monster Hunter game we've ever played. So far, every single quest that I've done has a 50-minute time limit. But on top of the 50-minute time limit, there is also the option to return to the campsite after the quest completes. So the same way that on the beta, whenever we completed the quest, we had an option to stay together with the same party or disband the party. There is an option like that where you press R3 to swap between it, where you can choose to go back to the headquarters, which is obviously Astera, the place where everybody gathers and stuff, or go back to the camp. So it just takes you back to a camp in that map, and the map stays the way it is. So say, for instance, if you happen to be fighting a Jiraiya, right? You have a quest for a Jiraiya, and somewhere along the way, a turf war happens. Jiraiya deals massive damage to the Baroth. At that point, you can either choose to A, focus on the Jiraiya if you feel that you're not going to have enough time for whatever reason, which is a little bit weird, but let's say for whatever reason you're doing really bad this hunt and you just really need to get Jiraiya down. You can focus on the Jiraiya, and then at the end of the quest, you can just say, go back to camp, and since the Baroth is extremely damaged, you can then go after the Baroth and hunt him too, if you want to, and there will be no time limit. I do believe that whenever there's no time limit, though, the monsters will leave the area after a certain time, but anyway. Basically, you can choose to do that, or just in case you're like, oh, I also need to go farm some items before I go back to town, you can just choose to stay in the area for as long as you want, go farm your items, go get whatever you want, and then go back to town whenever you're ready for it. So not only there's 50-minute time limits, there's actually no time limits, because after you finish the quest, you can remain in the area for as long as you want. And then on top of that, let's say, for instance, you don't even want to do a quest, you just want to go to an area, you can do that through expeditions. Expeditions have no time limit, so you can go to any of the maps that you've unlocked, and you can just go there, collect resources, do whatever the hell you want, just hang out, and you can go on about your business for as long as you want. However, in expeditions, monsters like the big alpha predator of the area or something will leave the area after 30 minutes. This is to avoid people like, let's say, oh, I can just kill this guy by death of 1,000 cuts. You can just go up to a monster, wail on him until you die, then go back, wail on him until you die again, and repeat until the monster dies. So I think the 30-minute thing is to prevent people from doing that kind of nonsense. But then again, who the hell wants to spend like 1 hour or something wailing on an Anjanath? That's just ridiculous. I don't think anybody wants to do that. But there you go. Expeditions, no time limits, and all of that business. Now there's also a function that I wasn't aware of, probably because I didn't pay that much attention to collecting stuff during the betas, because I think this might have already been there in the betas. But there is auto crafting, which is really, really cool. It just straight up crafts stuff on the go. So you know how you can just be running by things and you can like pick up an herb, pick up some honey, all of that stuff? Well, whenever you pick up herbs, it will automatically convert them into potions. Once it converts the herbs into potions, if you then pick up honey, it will automatically convert some of your potions into mega potions. And I thought that was amazing. And I'm pretty sure you can use that to also craft ammunition on the go. So you can be running around with your gun, you can be crafting, you can be picking up all kinds of different materials to craft certain kinds of bullets, and your character will automatically craft it. Doesn't even need to stop, it's just like everything is done on the go. And that is pretty damn cool if you ask me. Now, the other thing is, there's also a farm-like function in the game, which I'm pretty sure this was probably revealed by some video, but like I said, I haven't been watching those videos at all. Works pretty much the same way. You give them herbs, they'll give you back herbs. You can put fertilizer, you can buy fertilizer. As a matter of fact, I don't think you can put fertilizer as much as you just straight up buy it through points. Which you guys know, there's always two main currencies in Monster Hunter. There's the Zenny and there's the points. And you can just straight up buy fertilizer for 100 points for all different kinds of things. And the farm thing just continues producing stuff until you go there to pick it up. I think you can do like up to 10 quests before it fills up the thing, and then you can go back and pick up whatever materials you left on there. So yeah, it's very simple. Works just like you would expect in a Monster Hunter game. I'm assuming that right now I can only do one thing at a time. I'm assuming the more we evolve, just like all the other monster hunters, eventually I'll be able to do 2, 3, maybe even more things at a time as I progress further into the game. Now, another interesting, really cool improvement to the game is the crafting UI. Crafting UI, again, the best I've ever seen in Monster Hunter. Like, super easy to keep track of sets that you've crafted. Like, you know, sometimes you'd be crafting, say, a Rathalos set, and you'd craft the helmet, then you'd realize, oh damn, I'm missing materials for the chest piece or whatever, and then you would stop farming Rathalos, move on, then eventually go back, okay, let's go craft the Rathalos set, and you would forget that you had crafted the helmet, you would craft the helmet again. I highly doubt that's ever going to happen in this Monster Hunter, because it straight up just lists all the sets in there, tells you which monsters you've done, which parts you've done, which parts you have equipped. It's all there, and it's super improved from what we've had before. The other really cool thing, I'm not sure if this is just specific to weapons, but I've noticed it on weapons. I haven't tested it on armor yet. It is that you can roll back upgrades. So say, for instance, you start going down the path of a weapon, and then you get to a point and you're like, oh my god, I actually don't like the path that I've taken with this weapon. You can legit just roll the weapon back. Like, I've actually done that mistake on stream, and I was like, oh damn, I went down this path, I didn't mean to do it, I guess I'll have to craft it again. And then I noticed, wait a minute, I can just roll it back. You can literally just click steps back on the weapon, because you actually have the tree list for each weapon and the things that you'll have access to on that weapon, which is also really cool that you don't have to go to an external website to see that shit. But also, if you happen to go down a path that you don't like, you straight up click the thing before it, and it will tell you, oh, you want to roll back, you will receive all the materials that you use. So you basically, the only thing you lose is the Zenny. So you still get your materials back if you roll back your weapon. And that is just such a good quality of life improvement in a game like Monster Hunter that I cannot emphasize that enough. That is just like, thank you. Just straight up, thank you so much for allowing that to be a thing. And on the subject of things that you don't have to go to external websites to deal with, there is also a monster book in this game. It's called the Ecology Research or whatever. But basically what happens is, the more you track a monster using the scout flies and you're like gathering up the goop and looking at the footprints and all that stuff, or as you hunt the monster itself by killing it and or capturing it, whatever, your knowledge of that particular monster increases. And then you report it to this division at Astera, which is the Ecology Research. And as you report all of this knowledge that you've learned from a specific monster, what happens is your knowledge increases and you gain specific information about that monster. So it will show you a picture of the monster itself, and then say if you're like level 1, it will tell you, oh, in the face, this monster is this weak to blunt damage, this weak to slashing damage. In the tail, it is this weak to slashing damage, blunt damage, or piercing damage. It will tell you what the monster is weak to. Eventually, it will also tell you which elements the monster is weak to. It will also tell you which elements the monster is strong to. It will tell you which part of the monsters are breakable, which part of the monsters are severable. So basically all of the information that you would usually have to go to an external website to see. And as you continue to level that thing up more and more, it will also tell you the materials the monster drop and the required parts that you will have to break in order for the monster to drop those materials. Hell, even in the materials themselves, if you happen to have picked them up, the materials actually say, hey, you got this piece off of this monster because you slashed its wings, or you broke its feet, or you busted its face. It will straight up just tell you everything you need to know without you actually having to go to an external website. And I cannot emphasize how important that is. It was one of my biggest gripes with Monster Hunter, was the fact that the information for things that I needed to know was not in the game. I would always have to go get it off of some external website, and I always quoted how Soul Sacrifice did it better, because it always told you, hey, you want to get this thing? This is the quest you got to do. This is the thing you got to go fight, you know? And now Monster Hunter is doing that properly. Everything is in game. You don't have to leave the game to go and deal with that stuff. The other thing some people might be wondering about is the story. Cutscenes have actually not been that heavy. Sure, it's a little bit heavy at the start, but pretty much every Monster Hunter kind of has a heavy start to kind of set up the premise of what is happening. But since the beginning, is like most of the cutscenes have been rather light. Like, oh, we've got ambushed by this thing. Boom, done. Cutscene done. Begin action. So it is still very much super, as a matter of fact, I would say hyper focused on the gameplay experience, on you going out and doing quests. Like everything has, there's always like room for you to take a break before you go do a quest. Even sometimes something happens during a quest that you happen to be doing, and they will just straight up tell you, oh, by the way, you can go take a break now if you want, or you can continue doing this quest. So some quests actually have continuity. As a matter of fact, I believe you can just, sometimes if you have like, if there's quest and the progression's all in the same zone, you can just stay in that zone and queue up quest after quest and keep on doing it. You're able to do that stuff. You're able to stay on the field for as long as you want. It's just, I'm so accustomed to the old way of playing Monster Hunter that I actually like taking a break, going to the city. I just find that to be cool. Speaking of the city itself looks amazing. It is very vertical. It is very different from any hub that we've previously had in Monster Hunter. There's also a gathering hub. There's also squads, which I hadn't looked into that much. I've already created a squad, though. So if you guys want to join up on a squad, make sure to look up the Ironbreakers squad. I'm going to be forming that up. I believe people can join up to 8 squads at once. So it's not like you're locked into the Ironbreakers squad. But I do believe each squad can only hold up to 50 people. So I don't know how I'm going to be able to deal with that. But we'll see about people creating like sub-squads for the Ironbreakers potentially. But then again, I don't think there's going to be like more than 50 people online at the same time. I don't know how that's going to work out. But I know that each lobby, because whenever you actually play this Monster Hunter, you're going to be creating a lobby. Now, what you can do is you can just create a private lobby. If you're offline, I believe you can still play offline. You don't need to be online all the time. Although, I'll be honest, I haven't tested that, but I did play the game when I didn't have the day one patch and everything worked fine. I just didn't have access to multiplayer, but everything else, I was able to play single player just fine. So I'm pretty sure you'll be fine if you want to play offline, but you can still play online. And pretty much whenever you start the game, it's like you create an online session if you happen to have your console online. But what you can do is you can just say, okay, I want this to be a private session, and nobody will join it. Or you can also create a private session. Say you have a group of friends that all play Monster Hunter. You can create like a squad session, and then your squad can just join in whenever they happen to be playing, which I think is really, really cool. That's the way that I personally want to do it. I'm just not sure how I'm going to be able to manage the number of people that will be able to join in on the squad thing. We'll have to figure that part out. But it is so cool. It's just, if I had to say, like, how do I feel about the game after playing 9 hours, which is something that a lot of people have asked me yesterday throughout my live stream, I would say, remember how you felt when you played the beta and you were like, oh my god, this is like the best Monster Hunter ever? When you play the full game, it's basically that, but better. In every single aspect you can possibly think of. It is that, but better. As a matter of fact, the one thing I think I noticed that I was surprised that wasn't changed is the way that you collect your rewards at the end of a quest. You actually go through the little thing and you select each individual reward and you put it on you send it to your box, which I'm surprised there wasn't just like a button to send all the box with all the quality of life improvements. They still have you individually send every part, although it is kind of a callback to the old games and it doesn't really matter that much. It's easy to do. We all know how to do it. We've all done it 1,000 times, but I was surprised that that thing was still in there. Another thing, and this is particularly more important for people that haven't played Monster Hunter, is that you have the gallery, which this is something that I've mentioned for Xenoblade Chronicles too, but to be honest, Monster Hunter has been doing it pretty much since I've played Monster Hunter. So I think since Monster Hunter Tri, which was the first Monster Hunter I played Freedom Unite after playing Tri. But they've always had this feature, which is the gallery. And what the gallery does is every single cinematic that happens, you can watch it again. I mean, I don't think it's a big deal at all. But it is something that I've mentioned in Xenoblade Chronicles 2 that I wish every single game did this, so that if you want to rewatch a cutscene, you can just rewatch that cutscene. Now, one thing that I think is also going to surprise a lot of people is that not everything in this game is voice acted. And I know, through the trailers, it almost makes it seem like it is. It isn't. There's a lot of things where you just hear like a grunt from the character and then there's text in the bottom, which I guess is probably why a lot of people were talking about how is this game only 15 gigs? There you go. Not everything is voice acted. And all of the cutscenes are in engine, so there's pretty much not that. You don't have those big rendered cinematic cutscenes. That's why I guess the game is so small in terms of size. But I can tell you it's not small in terms of content, because they basically told me, hey, you can stream up until the Anjanath. 9 hours later, I was like, hey, I killed the Anjanath, and I still have all these side quests to do. So I'm going to be streaming a bunch of it more today if you guys want to watch that. And after midnight today, I will be allowed to proceed beyond the Anjanath, and we're going to be doing just that. So hopefully you guys will join me on the stream. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.